Good day. I'd like to talk about the women in my life when I was younger, starting with my mother. Um, she was a very frail woman. Um, she had lots of heart problems. She was, if I'm not mistaken, she was the second person in Canada to get a heart valve. Excuse me. Um, so when I was growing up as a kid, that was part of it in my life. I would come home from school, walk home from school, I would see the ambulance at the door. I didn't know if she was dead or alive until I got home. A lot of the time, I would be at the hospital with my mother, and at a very young age, I would have to deal with the doctors. And I remember a time where I was just a young lad. There was 3 doctors in the office, and they were going. My mother had just come back into the hospital. This is when we were a little older, and they thought she was going through dementia or Alzheimer's or something like that. And something in my head told me, no, that's not right. And I asked to check the oxygen level in her blood. And back then, it's not like we have today where they put a little clip on your finger and tells you what your oxygen level. Back then, they literally had to draw blood to find out how much oxygen was in your blood. And that's somewhat of a painful procedure. So, they pulled out her chart. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating, but it seemed about that thick. And they did do an oxygen level on her blood, and it was low. So they gave her oxygen therapy, and she improved. She improved a lot. So here's a kid, didn't know nothing, illiterate, and something in his head just told him that that's what the problem was. And he fought with the doctors, and she was right. She was a good woman. She did her best under the conditions. She did her best. Another lady, next door neighbor, actually saved my life. When I was a kid, I was playing in a. They were doing construction on the road at an intersection, and me and Susan went to check this intersection out, and there was no workers at the time, and sure enough, I went down the hole. Anyhow, and it caved in. And so at some point I was buried alive, and Susan ran home and got her mother, Betty, and they came running. And at that time, I believe there was some people already there digging me out. Well, if it wasn't for Susan that ran home to get her mother, and Betty Stevens started CPR and actually brought me back to life. So I cannot, obviously it goes without saying, I cannot thank Susan Stevens or Betty Stevens for saving my life that day. My friend Sammy's mother, Mrs. Bokikio, beautiful lady. I always felt welcomed. Never left the house hungry, that's for sure. It was always eat, eat, eat. Um, and she had this smile on her face. You never knew if you were in trouble or not. The way she would look at you, you was thinking, go, oh, what did I do wrong? And she had fun with that. She was a strong lady, heart of gold. Like I said, I always felt safe. And then you got Mrs. Jones, like I said, which she gave me everything she could to help me with my reading and spelling. She really inspired me to be able to go beyond, to teach me that I could do whatever I wanted, like I said before. And these ladies, I will never forget them as long as I live. They will be in my heart forever, to the day I die. And I had good friends. And hopefully some of these, and I didn't get their permission to say their names, so I won't say their names because I didn't get their permission. But they know who they are. And they're still in my life today. They're good people, very supportive, very caring people. And they helped me through difficult times in my life. They might not have known it, but they did. So that's it. Thank you for hearing me out. Have a good day.